Supreme Lord, eternal truth, let us obey Thee alone and live according to truth. परमो च प्रभु सत्यम नित्यत्वमेव केवलम अनुवर्तामहे सत्यम अनुजीवम केवलम ओम शांति ही शांति ही शांति. Namaste, good morning, Vande Mataram, welcome all of you. Today we will have a very important discussion on this spiritual discourse, that is on the mother's arrival centenary. So beautiful glimpse we will find in this topic. Of course, the topic of discussion will be on the mother's arrival centenary. Since mother arrived in India, that centenary celebration is being celebrated throughout, and it is of course gone. We will have a little focus on this topic, mother's arrival centenary. So this is the part one of this discussion. Then in between, of course, we will get some glimpses of your life, external life or something, or a yogic feeling experience like this. Some couple of discussions we will see in brief, of course. Mother course, in her own words, in her own wordings, we will see of her consciousness. Since the beginning of the earth, wherever and whenever there was possibility of manifesting a ray of consciousness, I was there. So Mother assures, Mother clarifies, since the beginning of the earth, whenever and wherever and whenever there was possibility of manifesting a ray of consciousness, I was there. So again another message will go and we'll see, of course. I belong to no nation, no civilization, no society, no race, but to the divine. I belong to no nation, no civilization, no society, no race, but to the divine. I obey no master, no ruler, no law, no social convention, but the divine. To him I have surrendered all, will, life, and self. For him I am ready to give all my blood, drop by drop, if such is this all, with the complete joy, and nothing in his service can be sacrificed, for all is perfect delight. So only for him, only for the divine, that he was her mission, divine, divine, and divine. Before going to the topic, of course, we'll have a glance the story, the history of this arrival, the centenary to be discussed here. Mother first arrived in Pondicherry on 29th of March 1914. 29th of March 1914, first arrival in Pondicherry. Then what happened? Then the World War began. As the war had begun, she left India on February 22nd, 1950 and returned to France. The mother returned to Pondicherry again in 1920, of course, on 24th April, that has been celebrated as the Darshan Day. So, the anniversary of my return to Pondicherry, which has been tangible sign of the sure victory over the adverse forces, Mother quotes. Anyway, this is the divine plan, this is the divine idea, this is the divine method, everything is divine, secret plan is there. So we'll have a little bit of a glance regarding her life and all. So the first step we are taking, the part one. The mother was born in Paris on 21st February 1878. And the master's birth was actually on 1872, August 15th. So there is a gap of 6. This 6 is a miracle, it is a mystery. So date wise 15th and 21, month wise February and August, and the year wise 1872 and 1878. There is only the gap is only, it is 6. So we'll see again. Her name was Mira Alfasa, second child of Maurice Alfasa, a Turkish banker in Adrianople, and his bank is a big bank manager. Is a big banker. So the family moved from Egypt to France just a year before the mother was born. No, her mother is actually Mathilde Islam of Cairo. So mother's quoting on her birth and all. I was born in France because some special education was necessary. I was born in France because some special education was necessary. Then another message. When I was 5, even 3 years old, I was conscious. Just imagine her consciousness lays stress upon her consciousness. When I was 5, even 3 years old, I was conscious. The beginning was made in the womb. In the mother's womb, there was the growth of consciousness. Of course, she could be able to know that was the divine, flowering of divinity, the flowering of consciousness inside the mother's womb. Then again she quotes here. I started contemplating doing my yoga from the age of 4. Just imagine how the divine growth, divine plan, and the divine schedule is there. So there was a small chair for me on which I used to sit still, engrossed in meditation. In my meditation, a very brilliant light would then descend over my head. Again, I would quote to you. This was 4. At the age of 4, sat in the meditation. A very brilliant light would then descend over my head and produce some turmoil inside my brain. It was descending and making some its work in turmoil in my brain. Of course, I understood nothing. It was only not the age for the understanding, but gradually I began to feel I shall have to do some tremendously great work that nobody yet knows. She could be able to understand that I shall have to do some tremendous great work, nobody knows. Then again, mother quotes from the age of 5. 3, 4, 5 mother's womb. Just imagine how the divinity is going, how there is a elevation. From age of 5, I was conscious that I did not belong to the world. I did not have any common consciousness. My sadhana begins at the age. At the age of 5, actually she realizes I don't belong to this world. That did not have any human consciousness. I did not have any human consciousness. My sadhana begins at that age, at most at 5. At this age, she began her spiritual discipline. Just imagine. At this age, she began her spiritual discipline, her sadhana. But her mother, who was a rationalist, knew little of what was going on, because she was not aware, and moreover mother was a very little kid of around 3, 4, 5. Mira's mind was not studied by her mother. Once she asked her, when she was meditating in a small chair, why do you sit thus with a sad face, as if the whole world were pressing upon you? Immediately there was a prompt answer from the mother. Mira, of course, then during that time, mother came after the arrival in Pondicherry and sadhana. Mother, Sri Aurobindo called mother. Yes, indeed. I do feel the weight of the world's miseries pressing upon me. So again, we'll go for this another very interesting topic, interesting thing we will see here, that unifying oneself around one's divine center. This was the position. See, we will a little bit we will stress upon. Whatever the way we follow, the subject we study, we always arrive at some result. The most important thing for the individual is to unify himself around the divine center. This is the object. In that way, he became a true individual, the master of himself and his destiny. Otherwise, he is a plaything. Simply, this is the thing we stress upon. Otherwise, he is a plaything of forces that toss him about like a piece of cork in a river. He goes where he does not want to go. He is made to do things he is not to that does not he does not want to do. And finally, he loses himself in a hole without having any strength to recover. This is the true scenario, true life of the common, ordinary, average humankind. But if you are consciously organized, unified around the divine center, ruled and directed by it, this divine center we will be circumscribing, staying there. will be ruled and directed by it. You are master of your destiny. This is the future. This is worth the trouble of attempting. In any case, I find it preferable to be the master rather than the slave. To be, it is the destined word. He is actually expressing her weakness to be master, not the slave. It is rather unpleasant sensation to feel yourself pulled by the strings and made do things whether you want or not. That is quite irrelevant, but to be compelled to act because something pulls you to the strings, something which you don't have even see, that is um, interesting, separating, exasperating, and however, I don't know, but I found it very exasperating even when I was quite a child at 5, mother course. At 5, it began to seem to me quite intolerable, and I sought to the way so that it might be otherwise. At the just at the age of 5, she feels I will do it. This experience is there. I have to do because things have to go. Without people gathering a chance to scold me, I will go of my own. Nobody will be there. They will not interfere. They will scold me. They will interfere. That is not necessary. For I know nobody who would help me, and I don't have the chance that you have. Someone you can tell you. So these the things. Mother is there to guide us, but at that time she was silent. She was alone because she was a little bit conscious. Not little bit. He was well conscious, well aware of this sadhana of her life. This is what you have to do. There was nobody to tell me that, because there was no guidance. Only guide is the that central divine center is there. There is the help, the guidance is what's coming. I had to find it out all myself, and I found it. I started at 5, and you were 5 long ago. So this is the thing. Of course, she was doing. And very interestingly, we'll see towards the end, of course, Mother has quoted in a beautiful memory. The mother returns to Pondicherry, but that return will try to quote in small in a brief, of course. In April 28th, she could at last, and for the good return to Pondicherry, finally she returned. She was accompanied by an English lady, Hedson, and she was already known in France. They were very much familiar. When their boat was approaching Pondicherry, the mother had a remarkable experience. I was on the boat at sea, not expecting anything. I was on the boat at sea, I not expecting anything. I was of course busy with the inner life, but I was living physically on the boat. This was the thing, physically on the boat, but the consciousness was already, everything was inward. When all of a sudden, abruptly, about 2 nautical miles from Pondicherry, the quality where they were actually moving the Pondicherry, I may even say physical quality of the atmosphere of the air changed with so much that I knew we were emerging the aura of Sri Aurobindo. It was physical experience. It feels it was as if we are moving into the Pondicherry, that physical aura, 2 nautical miles before. Sri Aurobindo has said, sadhana and the work we are waiting for the mother's coming. This was the thing when we have seen. And about her first arrival, we have seen, after seeing Mother called Krishna, with the first darshan, Mother quotes Sri Aurobindo as a Krishna. And she was now deeply convinced that her place was there at his side. So he has to stay there, and her work was in India. After the meeting, she noted that if it matters little, if there are hundreds of beings plunged into the densest darkness, whom I saw, his presence is sufficient.